we need strong male role models. Whatever you believe about gender, as human beings, we need strong male role models. It doesn't mean this overly masculine, aggressive concept that we had from before. It means someone with backbone, with conviction, with confidence, with sensitivity and compassion, but not like brittle and scared and fear-driven and afraid, and I think that's another thing that you really bring to the table is a strong male role model that's compassionate and sensitive. And I think like kids lack that and they strive for it. They want it, not as an authority figure, but as someone they can emulate and adapt, even if it's one piece of what you're like. Yeah. To their, sort of way of operating.
Yeah, well, there's clearly a vacuum, right? Because of the people like Andrew Tate or someone like that, Liver King Andrew Tate, which is kids are like, well, what is like a good real man? And then it's like that. It's like, well, you're missing a whole lot of elements from that. Like that's one element. Like there's the aggression that's needed to kick in a door to save a baby in a burning building, but that same aggression could be used to kick in a door to go attack your ex-girlfriend or something like that. So we, steering that aggression is a really important concept as opposed to just tapping into it, which I think is more like a lot of times what the message that kids are getting or just go get yours, hustle. It's like, go get your money without a lot of thought about how to get your money, because how you achieve something seems equally or as, or even more important than what you achieve. And I think, trying to get that balance is really crucial. I have 3 sons. Maybe that's why they're 8, 6, and 2. So I take that really seriously about like, I want my kids to be tough and sensitive. They do jiu-jitsu, they compete in jiu-jitsu. And I always say, I want you to be like the kindest guy on the mat and the toughest guy, so you can kind of find that balance. And that's something that I think that I try to promote for my students. I do like these assemblies, 2 or 3 times a year at my school with all the guys in the school. And it's about like, they call them like guys lunches or whatever. And I tell them like this kind of stuff about the idea of being like a sheepdog as opposed, protecting the sheep and fighting off the wolves type of thing. And it seems to resonate with a lot of the kids.
I think it's critical because with all this discussing about gender and identity and these kind of idols online that are super, super masculine, which essentially is just fighting fire with fire. If you demasculate men and you make all masculinity toxic, and you stop creating a distinction between what is toxic and what is not, and you just start basically selling the concept that being masculine is a toxic, you get, you lose these role models, right? So now you have people stepping into the vacuum and they're fighting fire with fire. They're going too far in that direction. They say super inflammatory stuff, things that aren't quite relevant to a message of like being a family person, being a community person, being a strong man, being a loving husband, loving father, blah, 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 all the things that we're trying to promote. They don't make those distinctions. They sort of throw everything at that to kind of battle this demasculating culture. And frankly, that's what's going on. And it's multifaceted, probably a little too much for this podcast because like we're watching testosterone levels drop precipitously over the last decades. We're seeing a lot of issues with fertility and men are in deep trouble when it comes to their mental health. Suicide rates are extraordinary. Gun violence with males are extraordinary. I mean, it's what's going on to the males as a result of should not be dismissed. We are suffering disproportionately in certain avenues. And it's like, it's important to understand that when you have a battle and discussion about equality, you don't want to forget about who we are as Homo sapiens. Like we are animals that evolved on this planet over millions of years. And only 10,000 years ago did we start, or so, well, that's a fun conversation as well, but tens of thousands of years ago did we start living the way we do in agriculturally based communities. We lived for millions of years as hunter-gatherers, like millions of years. That's how we're built. That's our genetics, that's our neurochemistry, our biology. And so when you start going too far in the waters of this, these ideas, these political ideas, social ideas, and you forget the ancestral backbone on which we have evolved, everything starts falling apart. And I think that's actually a huge foundational problem of our mental health issues, is that we've lost that anchor point to how we evolved.